University, the voice of Reichman University.
כל האוניברסיטה אודיוורסיטי.
On October 7th, part of my plan to go to Italy was to open a new page and forget about Israelis and Palestinians out of love. I don't hate them, but I was so desperate that there's nothing to do to help anyone. And then I saw Maoz on a TV interview. Somebody shared it in social media or sent it to me. And I see Maoz, who lost both parents, is calling for peace and calling for, a different way, alternative to all of these dynamics. So I said, if there's one Israeli who thinks this way, then I have partner. And then his brother was going to speak in a rally in London. His brother, Magen, lives in London. And a mutual friend asked me if I would come and speak in the rally. It was, I think, November, and it was really not easy time to speak about peace. And we went to the stage and I said personally, Israelis and Palestinians have gone way better over the years in how to inflict damage on the other side, but we have not made our people's life better.
Welcome to Raw, a podcast where we confront the complexities of war from the inside out. I'm Anouk, a journalist, author, yoga teacher, and meditation practitioner. Raw, or war spelled backwards, symbolizes how many of us feel in the face of the Israel-Gaza conflict: exposed, vulnerable, and seeking understanding. Here, we don't just discuss the external battles, but dive deep into our internal struggles, examining how this violence has shaken our very core. Join me in conversations with philosophers, psychologists, and spiritual leaders as we explore how to navigate these painful times with wisdom and resilience, finding guidance for our own paths through this raw, unfiltered world. On October 5th, Hamze Awawde, a Palestinian peace activist born in Hebron, had just returned to the West Bank from some months leading peace camps for teenagers in the United States. He was driving with his 7-year-old son when IDF soldiers jumped out of nowhere and pointed their guns at them, perhaps believing they were someone else. He was still trying to make sense of that terrifying moment when October 7th struck. Understanding what this would mean for the region, Hamze and his family packed their bags and left the country to live in Italy. Hamze even thought about leaving his whole Palestinian identity behind, until he saw an interview with Maoz Inon. Maoz's 2 parents had been murdered on October 7th in Kibbutz Netiv Haasara, yet he and his brother Magen were still talking about peace and warning that more bloodshed would only lead to more bloodshed. Ever since, Hamze and the Inon brothers have been touring the world to meet with students, leaders, and whoever wants to listen. Hamze, a certified facilitator and mentor, is the regional manager at Hands of Peace, a nonprofit organization which fosters dialogue and understanding among Jewish, Palestinian, and American teenagers. On this episode, Hamze speaks about his life as a Palestinian in the West Bank, what October 7th has meant for him, and how he balances a need for psychological and physical safety with a fight for a better future. Hamze, welcome to Raw. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You moved to a different country since October 7th. You're in Italy right now. Tell me about that, and maybe we'll jump into your story from there.
Yeah, so last summer I was in the States, in the US. I was working in a program that brought Jewish teenagers from Israel and the US, Palestinian teenagers from the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and also from Israel, and also Americans, American Palestinians and Lebanese. We created for them a summer camp where they really do a very, very serious dialogue about politics, about religion, about life, about international topics. But also they get trained together and have fun together and go to the beach together. And it's amazing how they are teenagers, they're not peace activists or anything, and how when they're in a healthy environment, when they are equal, they just say the most smart things and they learn the most, and they teach us the most smart things. Then after the summer camp finished, end of July, I went to Washington, D.C. The summer camp was in San Diego, and I went to Washington, D.C., and I was doing meetings with all the stakeholders there about how dangerous the situation is. I thought that the explosion will be in the West Bank because of all the speeches of ministers like Ben-Gvir and Smotrich and all the threats of annexation and Hawara story when like settlers attacked houses and burned houses. But people were like really in denial. People trust that Israel is in control of what they are doing. They know what they're doing and trust it. And, even me believed it at some point because everyone think everything is okay. Then came back beginning of October. And on the 5th of October, I had an incident with my son inside Ramallah. 3 soldiers who were hiding in the street thought we are going to do car ramming attack. We were just going home. And they jumped on the street and they pulled their guns and put it in our heads. And the officer told me, "You are so lucky we didn't kill you." And then I asked myself, if I believe that it's really bad, why am I staying here? This before October 7th. I was like, if I'm telling people it's bad and I'm also staying there, there's here contradiction, especially that I have Italian citizenship and, it's not home, Italy for me, it's not, but at least it's safe and safe for my son. So then October 7th happened. I was
Let me
like,
just, before we talk about, October 7th, which of course we will talk about, just tell me about your son. How old is he? And had anything like that ever happened to you before?
So my son is 7 years old. He's half Palestinian, half Italian, and we used to live in Ramallah. His mom also used to live in Ramallah. He used to go to the French school in Ramallah, lycée. He's, he really the luckiest Palestinian there. Like he goes to the best school, and me and his mom try to, give him the best life, despite the occupation, despite everything. Things like this happened, less intensity, it was not so direct. Like very often, I used to go Friday always to Dura, where my mom lived. And in recent months, before October 7th, we would be stopped by the army, just stopped, and they take my ID and I have to wait. And my son would ask me why they stop us and say crazy things, which is like my son. I never teach him anything crazy, but just the unfairness of the situation. But also the settlers, also it happened last year. I was leaving Ramallah through Beit El checkpoint, and while driving on Friday morning, 10 settlers, teenagers, maybe early 20s or 19, 18, they blocked the street in front of the car. And I didn't know what to do not to be killed at that moment. Because I stopped and they were still in the middle of the car. I said, any soldier now would think I'm trying to attack them. So I went, I did return.
You reversed.
Reversed for for a long, long time until they no longer saw me. And then I made U-turn. I went back to Ramallah. And then my son was like, why did you do that? And who are these people? And what's happening? And I don't want to scare him, but I don't want also not to tell him the truth, because nowadays you cannot isolate people, even children, from what's happening. If he doesn't hear it from me, he will hear it from his classmates or from the TV or whatever. So actually, people adapt. Israelis and Palestinians adapt to any horrible situation, and they think this is resilience, and I think they are losers. They shouldn't adapt to these things. They shouldn't. This is not normal. They shouldn't accept it. You shouldn't accept, things that are man-made. I mean, you accept I don't know, the winter, the storm, I don't know what, things that you have no control on. But these things you have control on, like, shouldn't be this way.
So just to put things in context, so you grew up in Hebron,
Yes.
so you have experience of settlers your whole life, because it's a city with, I think, a few hundred settlers, but they're very heavily protected, and so I guess you grew up with a lot of Israeli military presence and maybe some encounters with these settlers. And then from what I understand, you grew up in that environment. You don't really think of Israelis as anyone other than those that you encounter either in uniform or the settlers who live there. And then at some point you become a peace activist. I mean, it's not at some point. I'm sure the journey must have been extremely long and arduous and complex and nuanced. But that's where you found yourself, like you said, in the U.S. at this peace camp, and then you come back to Israel. You have this experience with soldiers, with your son, and then comes October 7th. Tell me about what goes on for you on that day when you start to understand what's happening.
Yeah, so that day I was in Dura, which is really not very far from Gaza. It's in the West Bank, but maybe it's the closest place in the West Bank to Gaza. So usually my family hears all the bombings in Gaza. It was first time for my son to stay over at my mom's place, and we went on the 6th of October. My mom invited so many siblings and cousins, and we had an amazing day. We slept, me and my son. I woke up with the sound of the rockets, the initial attack. I opened Twitter. I saw that there are a huge number of rockets that have been launched from Gaza. That was for me enough bad. Like that for me was enough to call disaster. I woke up my son. I ran to the bank. I took cash because I was worried there will be no cash. And then I started trying to go back to Ramallah because I said this will be a war of any sort. I didn't know more than the rockets. And I want my son not to be separated from his mom during these moments. So while trying to go back to Ramallah, already all the towns were blocked. Whenever something happens, the army put siege on every small town or city. But I took alternative route, like farmers use, and then I joined street number 60. My ex-wife, who like very close to diplomats and international organizations, was getting security updates immediately. And she was telling me all the entrances of Ramallah are either blocked or there's exchange of fire. But staying on the highway started to become more dangerous because I started to learn what's going on and was afraid from revenge attacks. At the end, I had to cross Kalandia checkpoint area, even though it really was exchange of fire. Was the best option I had, and we made it to Ramallah. Then I started following the news. I thought that this is going to be much longer war than we ever thought, much more devastating. I was sure Gaza will be flattened. I was sure the Messianic Jews will flourish at this point and dominate, the political scene in Israel even more. I was sure that we don't have smart leaders to take us out of this crisis, and not locally and not globally. So I wanted to leave. I said I want to leave as soon as possible. No one agreed with me. Everyone told me, no, like there will be a few weeks of this and ceasefire and stuff. I said, okay, I leave. And if there's ceasefire afterwards, I come back. I mean, there's nothing like it's a two ways door. So I left the day after, and already the day after, West Bank looked different. People streets were empty. I mean, there was no curfew, anything. Just people were scared from the unknown and what's going to happen. It was very hard to get a taxi who would agree to take me from Ramallah to Jericho, where there's a Alembe bridge to go to Jordan. I paid somebody a lot of money, and he deserved it. I mean, he was taking huge risk. On the way, the army stopped us and asked me if I was tourist. I said yes, maybe because my ex was with me and she's blonde, and I said yes, so they let us go. And so we made it to the bridge. We were among very few people who managed to reach the bridge. And I went to Amman, and from Amman, we stayed a few days, and then we left. And I was I left because I was very angry also, not because I was scared, because we should have known always that the opposite of peace is war. The opposite of peace is uncertainty. The opposite of peace is danger. How people lived as there's no problem is the first sin that not only leaders did, but also normal people did. Because it doesn't make sense. I mean, if you and I have a problem that's not solved, you shouldn't pretend it doesn't exist, and I shouldn't pretend that this problem doesn't exist, because at some point it will come up.
Yeah.
And there's such a huge problem that is existential, and everyone behave as business as usual.
The complexity of the situation and the feeling of powerlessness is what kind of keeps people in. As long as your little bubble feels safe and nice, and as Tel Aviv does, that's the bubble I'm in. You kind of, you can put it on it's not your reality, so you don't think about it. What's really interesting to me is that you talk about, I asked you about October 7th, and for us in Israel, it is such an enormous national trauma, and I see it here. A lot of people still live as if it is still October 7th, and a lot of people are still in that trauma. But on that day, I would never have thought that when you or the day after, when you tried to go abroad, that you were scared. I wouldn't have even thought about someone in the West Bank being scared to drive to the airport. Is that fear? I want to linger there because fear is always valid, no matter what the circumstances are. Even you can see one time in your life something very scary happening and being afraid of it for the rest of your life. That's how human psychology develops. What were you so afraid of during that drive that you're in the car, you're with your child, somebody would just start shooting at you? I mean, what was the fear and how realistic is it?
Yeah, I mean, if we have been following the news in the West Bank in the past 3-4 years, actually, there's every day a couple of people that are being killed, either at the checkpoint or during rides or by settlers, every single day almost. On that day, I knew that Israelis are very angry, and I could see from the first day calls for revenge by even people I thought they were reasonable. Like, I never agreed with their politics, but I thought that they have their limits. Journalists, politicians, army, and I said, understanding humans, nothing specific about Jews or Israelis, that when you are so charged with anger and hate, and you have gun, and you're probably also scared because October 7th has shaken all your self-image of security, then it's so easy that someone will open the fire on me and my son. So easy. And it happened, and it's happening every day. Like, the violence in the West Bank since October 7th is way higher than ever, actually, than even the second Intifada, I believe. And I didn't want to be a victim. Even this, assuming a soldier who's just a soldier, but he's Israeli and he's being paranoid, and he's now thinking any Palestinian, I mean, many always thought every Palestinian is a terrorist until they prove the opposite, then I would be a target. True, a soldier can be nice because you grow up in a nice family and nice politics, and he will not open fire on me. But if he happens to grow up in a very ideologically hateful environment, he can also kill me. My life is my responsibility. It's not, if I have a way to be safe, I will do it. I will do it because it's not a hero to die. It's really not a hero.
I want to go back to October 7th. On October 7th, when you did you first of all see some of the things that had happened in the kibbutzim at the Nova Festival? Like, was there any awareness in the West Bank? Was there any content that was coming through? You know, all these videos that most Israelis saw and really deeply traumatized us and put us in that space of, or a lot of people in that space of revenge, because it's turned on all the primal receptors, which are, the perfect combination for fight or flight, and in this case, Israel went into fight. So did you see that content, and were you able to empathize, to feel, to be outraged?
Yeah. So I specifically did see, because I follow Israeli media closely. I wake up every day. I also read the Israeli media, not only Haaretz, because I want to read what the mainstream Israelis read. And especially towards the afternoon and the evening, I think also Israelis at that point started to learn what's going on in the kibbutzim. And before that, there was really very little information for everyone. I felt first ashamed, honestly. This is not who I want to be as Palestinian. The actions of Israel should not define who we want to be as Palestinians. I mean, the same for Israelis should be, but I want to care about my people. If my people have to go that far to get their basic natural rights, then we have been defeated before succeeding. The moment you take somebody else's life, you have lost your humanity. I don't want to preach to Israelis, it's their problem, but I want to preach to Palestinians. I want to restore Palestine. I want Palestinians to be safe, have equal rights, have dignity, like anybody in the world, not more than people, not less than people. That's what concerns me. It doesn't help me at all if Israelis are going through crisis because of me or because of somebody else. It doesn't help me. In fact, the healthier the Israeli public is, because also we have to separate between people and ideologies and people and politics. The more healthy the Israeli society is, the less prone they will be to radical ideologies like what's dominating now Israel. Now, to make that our dream is to hurt Israelis, regardless, I don't care who the Israelis are. This is not a healthy attitude of a nation that wants to flourish in the future and to live for the quality of life that people deserve. And honestly, Israel is not a role model for us. When I speak to people from Hamas, they would tell you, yeah, but Israel kills civilians to achieve political and security goals. And I tell them, Israel is not your role model. Israel is Israel. They have their own problems. They wish them luck to deal with it. But they don't get to set the standards of how we behave.
I can hear already some of the things that even those closest to me who are not messianic or greater Israel or, in any way people who would treat anybody that they meet kindly. I can hear them say to me, it's great that you met Hamze and he sounds wonderful, but how many are there like him? And the second is, I hear it more and more, this idea of Islamic fundamentalism, that there is something radically different about the Palestinians or about our situation, because, you can explain the grievances of the Palestinians and the occupation, etc. But at the end of the day, there is something, and I think people really, this big, horrendous monster that cannot be defeated in any way, which is Islamic fundamentalism, glory of the martyr, virgins in heaven, etc. So I almost apologize that I'm
No.
asking this of you, but it's because I know that it's what a lot of people are probably thinking as they hear you speak about, about the beauty in the Palestinian culture and about the literature and about the desire for peace and the desire for safety, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised to hear these things. It's actually part of the game. Israelis have to believe this in order to accept what's going on, the huge sacrifices they are making. I mean, Israel should be one of the best countries of quality of life. And I lived in Tel Aviv. I would rather live in Ramallah, honestly, because you guys pay so much money for so little, and every season you have a war. And this is the normal. And this is what everyone actually, at least not protesting about. Um, Palestinians are very diverse people. Inside the same family, I swear to God, inside every house, there are all political views. Inside the same family. Like any nation, we have religious fundamentalists, and I think, honestly, the minority, the ideological one. So we have also it's a very tricky situation. There are many people who support Hamas, including Christians. Palestinian Christians voted in 2006 for Hamas candidates. That doesn't make them religious, and that doesn't make them looking for 72 virgins in heaven. I mean, they don't believe in our heaven altogether. It's just because Hamas is the only one who's challenging the Israeli occupation. Also, Israelis look at Palestinians from the security angle, like they see Palestinians from like the lens of the sniper or from the shame page reports. And of course, this is what you will get, because this is then it's like Google search. You Google what you want and you will find what you want, and you confirm what you want, and then you become victim of the image you created about Palestinians. They are monsters and whatever like there, but the truth is, Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza, for the most time of the history, they did not even resist. It started in the late 80s that they made the first Intifada. And the first Intifada was almost non-violent. There were violent incidents, but most of the people were involved in non-violent activities. And all of a sudden, checkpoints and Palestinians are terrorists and blah, blah, blah. And they became the way Israelis always portrayed them. It's a choice to make. It's a choice to make. The same for me. I always thought Israelis are all monsters, like all the settlers and the soldiers that came to our house, destroyed our house, killed my friend, arrested my neighbors. For a long time, this is the view I had about Israel. And if I wanted to keep it until today, I have evidence. Yes, because I give you 1 million rebirth. But moment I decided that it can't be that bad. It can't be, because then life is really horrible. Like it's really, and I made the effort to look for different Israelis. At least I removed this anger and resentful weight from my shoulders as a person.
I really liked what you said about, if Israeli society is healthy, it's better for Palestinians. And I had never thought of it this way, but on this podcast, I've been speaking a lot about psychological resilience for Israelis and even about self-care. And sometimes I feel an enormous guilt that I am able to sometimes, not all the time, because the reality makes it so difficult, and like you said, social media, but sometimes I'm able to see the beauty in this world. I'm able to deeply enjoy my children. I'm able to go, for a yoga session or in the sea, and I'm able to be present and grateful and loving. And as much as the narrative tells me I have to feel guilty, and then the news tells me I have to feel terrified, and there are threats, and there's so much anti-Semitism in the world, and or the opposite. I see terrible things that are happening in Gaza and the West Bank, and I feel guilt, and I feel at the end of the day, if I am able to relate to that from a place where I am healthier in my mind and in my body and in my spirit, then I'm able to give interactions such as the one we're having right now, more depth, more humanity.
Whoever angers you controls you also. And also our children, like maybe we have control on our children at least. At the beginning, I was so like my son would be with me, but I'm not here with him. My mind's somewhere else, and I said yes, like this is really unfair to my son, and it's not but it's not productive at all. It's counterproductive because you're joining the same toxic energy like everyone, and everyone, it's you can pass it to other people and regenerate it, and um, but if people manage to at least steal some moments of feeling, normal, whatever that means, I think it's resistance.
Since October 7th, I want to talk about the work you've been doing with the Inon family, Maoz and Magen Inon, who both whose parents were murdered on October 7th. Tell me a little bit about what you've been doing with them, and also, we talk about self-care and sheltering ourselves, and you moved abroad. I try to shelter my children. Why did you not decide to just shelter yourself completely, become a different person? Why is there that pull to come back to the things that cause so much pain? Because that's something that I'm thinking about all the time, like I could just bury my head in the sand, but I keep coming back and it hurts. And so I have to do some self-care in order to be able to do it. But tell me for you how that balance has happened, and also about your friendship that developed with these two brothers who lost their parents on October 7th.
Yeah, so honestly, on October 7th, part of my plan to go to Italy was to open a new page and forget about Israelis and Palestinians out of love. I don't hate them, but I was so desperate that there's nothing to do to help anyone, and I'm just burning myself for nothing. This was my attitude. So the plan was really to start a new page, and even to ignore the news, and just try to make a new life, like in Europe from zero, and none of my business really. I have done enough.
Be Harry instead of Hamza.
Yes. And like everyone was sending me emails, like all the people was meeting in the US who were ignoring me were sending me emails to ask, because now they want my opinion and ask me about what I think is gonna happen and stuff. And it was like none of my business. Like you will see it. And then I saw Maoz on a TV interview. Somebody shared it in social media or sent it to me. And I see Maoz, who lost both parents, is calling for peace and calling for a different way, alternative to all of these dynamics. And I thought that it was a wake-up thing for him. Like, he always had been a nice person who worked in Nazareth with like, he opened a hotel inside the Palestinian city, and everyone is his friend, because he came with good intentions and generosity, and people gave back because people feel it. And he's really the son of Nazareth. Like, everyone in Nazareth love him and care about him long before October 7th. But he never cared about Palestinian issue and all of that. The loss of his both parents made him, because he's not loyal to Bibi or Ben Gvir or Gantz or whatever. He's a free person, really. And he thought that if everything that I was okay with did not keep my parents safe, then I don't care about these things. And he was calling for peace and was saying killing people in Gaza is something that my parents will be ashamed of and will never wanted. So I said, if there's one Israeli who thinks this way, then I have partner. And then his brother was going to speak in a rally in London. His brother Magen lives in London. And a mutual friend asked me if I would come and speak in the rally. It was, I think, November, and it was really not easy time to speak about peace. And I thought someone has to do it first. And maybe I'm the luckiest because first, I'm Italian citizen, so I'm not really scared from all the crazy people. Second, it's sooner or later, people will understand this is the right thing to do. Maybe now they can't see it, but they will see it in the future. And also, this is my gift to my son. I want my son to know that even when it was not familiar and not acceptable, I said the right things. And we went to London on the stage together. in front of thousands of people under the rain. People were also scared everywhere. I mean, Jews and Palestinians and Muslims were scared from what's happening in the world, and they should be scared. And they were looking for hope. We went to the stage and I said personally, Israelis and Palestinians have gone way better over the years in how to inflict damage on the other side, but we have not made our people life better. And this is how to be loser. Like we measure our success, how many houses we destroy in Gaza, not how Israel is more sustainable and a place that is bearable to live. And the same with Hamas. They just tell us how many attacks they made on Israelis, but they don't tell us how our life is going to be better. And all the peace-loving middle-class families in Israel and Palestine and Jews around the world and of every family in the world that cares about humanity and these people are just passive, angry and sad and defeated. They should do something. Everyone should do their best in what they can. There's something in Islam that says God expects from you only your best. So if everyone from our camp did their best, we would have balanced these crazy people. We would have not only balanced them, we would have outsmarted them. So the biggest fight we have is internal. It's Jews among each other and Palestinians among each other, but also with we need a standard also. We need to understand that if we don't want to kill each other, we have to find a way to get Palestinians their rights. It shouldn't sound that a Palestinian having freedom of movement is an existential threat for Jews. It's not. It will become like this if you frame it this way. But you can also say, like, and we have evidence, like from years of Oslo, even though Oslo was a very badly done deal, we had the safest years in our life. Israelis were coming to the West Bank, Palestinians were coming with their cars into Israel. There were minor issues, but there are minor issues in Switzerland too, you know.
Every night or every 5 nights when my husband lets me annoy him into having conversations about, where could we move? I mean, where in the world, tell me, just give me a place where we can move, where I'll feel safer, where I'll feel like my children won't grow up hating. And then I think exactly what you said, that if all the people, like, not that I'm putting myself on a pedestal, but all the people who still have some space in their heart. It's not easy. I'm not blaming the ones who don't, because it's circumstantial, it's genetic. It depends on, how much suffering they've been through in life. But if I still have some space in my heart for hope and for peace and for compassion, then this place needs people like this, and a lot of us are thinking to leave. And then what are you left with here? You're left with the ones who are currently in power. What are you doing these days? What do you feel is most impactful in what you do?
With Magen and Maoz, we started really normalizing the talk about peace, about human rights, about justice, about equality, that there are 7 million Jews and 7 million Palestinians that should not go somewhere else. Not only that they're not going, they should not go somewhere else. Because the world, it's full of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. You can escape, go somewhere, but you will have problems there too if things continue. If things continue like this, and Maoz said it, you will not be surprised when the war will knock your doors, because he never expected the war will knock his parents' doors. And I think no one in this world, as long as this is going on and potentially expanding to Lebanon and other parts of the Middle East, should feel safe. So we're trying to remind people that it's okay and smart to think about peace. You're not being naive, because these guys sucks that believe in wars and conflict, that rationally and objectively, they have not achieved anything. I mean, destruction only, but military achievements, there's no military achievements. They destroyed everything in Gaza except Hamas. And Hamas, even if you kill all Hamas, it regenerates in a couple of weeks. It's an ideology that in a perfect environment for this ideology, it can flourish easily. So they have not brought us to any better situation. So we're trying to reach to people who are not ideological, the people who are pro-Israel and pro-Palestine, but not because they are hateful. To try to tell them, no, you actually can be pro-peace, pro-justice, pro-different game, because this kind of game is bad for your side and the other side, whatever side you are. I mean, what it means pro-Israel or pro-Palestine. Are you pro-normal life and science and freedom and liberty, or you are not? This is how it should be, because it's not a football game. You and the average Israelis, have things in common, have things not in common. Maybe you have more in common with me than your neighbor, maybe not. But it's not what a football match. I don't also want to be in the same box with Hamas. Like, don't look at me because me and Hamas same box, that we both have been treated similarly. Either you love us both or you hate us both. We should really change the conversation about this conflict, and we are trying to do this in universities, in schools. Me and Magen did a lot of work with British mixed schools. So we spoke to Jewish and Muslim and students from all over the world. I tried to write a lot about the situation, and luckily I'm getting a lot of Palestinian followers. At the beginning was mainly the UK, the US, and Israel, but also many Palestinians resonate with my language, which is what I can do as a person. We use social media a lot. We try to do also anything. We try to meet people to learn about, like, ex-politicians and ex-activists, to learn what can be done, because we don't pretend to have the answers. It's so complicated, but we really have the attitude to learn things. But basically, we're really family. I went with Maoz and his daughter to Glastonbury Festival.
The music
We
festival.
Yeah, we slept like in two tents near each other. We went to dance. We went to eat together. Whenever he had to go in the evening to see some music, his daughter stayed with me. At least we're gaining some humanity in our life. Like, we're not scared from each other, and we show example. I can imagine if both of us took different choices in our life, we would be just mentally burdened and scared and feared and angry and hateful. I really encourage people to try the other way, because you see some immediate results.
Do you plan on coming back at some point? Do you have any plans to travel to the West Bank? And if you wanted to come in Israel to talk, would you even be allowed to? Would that be possible?
I don't know, honestly. I don't feel safe about the idea of going back. I do not trust all the actors there, including the Israeli security. It's so easy to label someone as Hamas, I have got a lot of threats. Either people accuse me either of being Zionist or Hamas. So a lot of Israelis and American Jews sent me threat messages saying, you're a Hamas sympathizer. We will reach to you wherever you are and take care of your kid and things like this, which is not realistic threats, but it still hurts. And also many pro-Palestine or Palestinians who say, like, I'm Zionist and all these bullshit things, which if they ever pay attention what I say and what I do, I'm none of both. But yes, I will not go back under these circumstances. I will go back, honestly, when I see that one step has been taken towards stabilization, towards resolving the conflict, towards changing strategies. What we see right now is just the same, more of the same, but like in higher intensity, which is gonna cause higher damage. And in this moment, I don't want to go. I don't want to even step in the Middle East, like the whole Middle East. I would rather prioritize my safety and not put my life on the hands of people who don't care about anyone.
So you're living in Rimini now in Italy on the coast. Tell us, like, very briefly about your life there. What is that like? What is Hamze in Italy look like?
Yeah, So there is a canal, it's like a river, and there's a sea. So I live in between. I live like 3 minutes from the canal and 10 minutes from the sea. So from the river to the sea. I found
You got it. You
yes,
succeeded in living from the river to the sea.
really. It's so nice here. The prices are also nice, quality of life. Immediately when I registered here, I got my health insurance card. I go to restaurants, I go shopping. Things are reasonably priced. There are 2 airports close by. I always have so much options when I want to travel. Like back when I lived in Ramallah, I could not use Ben Gurion Airport because Palestinian from the West Bank cannot use it. We had always to go to Jordan. Now, like I really start packing in the morning of my flight, and I take the bus 1 hour. I'm in the airport. Very convenient life. People know how to enjoy life here, and I'm trying to copy them. But still, we are traumatized, and we are so heavily impacted from the past. So every day to heal a little bit is not an easy thing. It takes effort. But I feel very relaxed. I don't have this. When I lived in the West Bank, I always was trying to police myself, where to go, what to say, how to look, because there is danger. I mean, anyone can suspect you of anything, and they will not give you the second chance. I mean, you can be arrested, killed, whatever. So I always had to be careful. Here, it doesn't come to me that I should be careful. I'm just living like everyone. Subconsciously, I feel free, which is really worth everything.
Thank you so much for speaking with me. I love imagining you enjoying Italy and London, and having that psychological freedom that I can imagine is just like the biggest burden that is lifted. And at the same time, I commend you for continuing to heal things for others as well. And I think those, like we said, they go hand in hand. The healthier we are, the more we have to extend to others. So thank you so much, Hamze, for speaking with me this morning. And I hope we get to meet in person one day. I hope it can be here.
Come to Italy. Yeah, no, for both of our interests, maybe you should come to Italy, not the other way.
Not the other way around. Okay, if we're really utopian, we'll imagine that one day you can just freely come into my home in Tel Aviv. And if we let our pessimistic minds speak, then we'll let you know when we're next in Italy.
Thank you.
Shukran jazilan. Thank you for listening. This has been Raw. To listen to more of our episodes, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you find your podcasts. I'm Anouk Glory. Goodbye.